My good friend Jack Nicklaus once said, if you have the proper grip and the proper setup, you can be taught. And I agree with that. Well, let's start with the proper grip. The first thing that goes on the golf club is the left hand. My dad at age 6 put my hands on the golf club, and the first thing he said, son, turn that hand over so you see 2 knuckles in your left hand. Point the V that's formed between your thumb and forefinger right here toward your right shoulder, just like this. The left thumb goes down the right center of the shaft. My great friend and teacher, Stan Thirsk, does this with his new pupils. He takes the glove and he puts these 2 lines on the glove right here, and also the OB, which stands for out of bounds, which means that you want to place the club in your left hand right between those 2 lines right there and not where the OB is. The problem with people who have a grip where the club lays like this in the hand is that they can't grip onto the club tightly enough, so they over grip the golf club like this, causing too much tension in their arms and hands when they swing the golf club. With the club in this position right here, the left thumb goes down the top right of the shaft, the center right of the shaft. The right hand fits right over the top of the thumb right here. The pad of the thumb fits right over the thumb like this, and it goes into the 2 fingers right here of the right hand, and then you hold the club this way. Look at the right thumb. The right thumb doesn't go down the top or over here, it goes over to the left side of them. The V, as my dad said, should also be pointing to the right shoulder, but I do a little bit different. I put it just toward my chin, or just to the right of my chin this way. So basically your left thumb is on the right side of the shaft and your right thumb is on the left side of the shaft. Now the last thing I do with the grip, I want to teach people, is to split the forefinger from the middle finger a little bit on the right hand. That allows you to cradle the golf club a little bit easier without gripping on too tightly. Now let's talk about the 3 types of grips that you normally see. The one grip that I started with was the overlapping grip. This is the grip that is called the Varden grip, with the little finger overlapping the forefinger and the middle finger of the left hand. The grip that Tiger Woods uses, and as well as Jack Nicklaus, is the interlocking grip, where you interlock those 2 fingers. And the last grip that you see a lot, and it's taught for mainly women because their hands are smaller and it allows for more power, is the full fingered grip this way. Put all 4 fingers on the golf club. Now, some of the common mistakes people make with their grips are these, is that many people put the left thumb down the top of the shaft, straight down the top, and the right thumb down the top of the shaft like this. The problem with this is that it decreases the amount of hand speed you have in the golf swing. Watch what happens when I take this club back with an improper grip. I go back halfway like this, and the club just sticks up in the air like this. You can't break the wrists. Now, if I have it on there properly, with the left hand over, 2 knuckles, the right hand over, like this, watch how much more wrist break you have in the backswing. Look how easy it goes up there and sets like this. The proper grip allows you to do that. Now, if you have the 2 thumbs down the top of the shaft like this, it also causes a slice. When you push the club out like this, look what happens to the club face. The club face opens up. Conversely, if you have the left hand on the golf club too strong in this position where you see too many knuckles, this is the power position. A lot of people come in there and they'll get the nice power position like that. What happens at impact is the club face closes. So the proper grip goes on like this. Left hand on the club, see 2 knuckles, left thumb down the right center of the shaft, and the V pointing to your right shoulder. The right hand goes on with the pad of the right thumb over the left thumb, the right thumb to the left of the shaft, the V just to the right of my chin. One last thing. I like to put just a little bit of a gap between the forefinger and the middle finger right here to cradle the golf club. Now that is the proper grip like that, and let's see how it works. And that, my friends, is a lesson on the grip. Now that we've learned the proper grip, the question becomes, how firmly do we hold onto the golf club? In Hogan's 5 Fundamentals of Golf, he talks about the last 3 fingers of the left hand and the middle 2 fingers of the right hand. Those are the pressure points in your grip. I stress the same thing. The way I like to teach grip pressure is this. Simply take the club, put the club straight up in the air where it's lightest, and then let the club drop through your hands like this. Then put the club back in your hands, proper grip, then reduce your grip pressure until just before it drops, and then take the club and just take it to horizontal like this. You will feel an increase of grip pressure in your last 3 fingers of your left hand and the middle 2 fingers of the right hand just by doing that. That's as much grip pressure as you need holding onto the golf club. Jack Nicklaus talked about the 2 fundamentals, the grip and the setup. Let's talk about the setup. The setup, I like to say, is you're in the guarding position in basketball. If you're in this position right here, like this, you can move. I can move this way, I can move this way. I can move back, I can move forward. If you have your feet too wide, what happens, you can't move quickly enough. If they're too narrow, you move and you fall over. If your legs are too straight, then you can't move at all. And we see all those types of stances in golf. Too wide, too narrow, legs too straight. Now, this is how I like to teach the setup. I start from the ground up. The feet are shoulder width apart. Your toes should be slightly open. I think the left toe should be a little bit more open, the right toe like this. The knees are slightly flexed, and the right knee is kicked in like this, not out, or even straight up like this. It's kicked in just a little bit like that to help you brace on the inside of your right foot. Then, you have to stick your rear end out to counterbalance your top end being over. Now, let's talk about the back. I see too many people do this. Their rear end is tucked in and your shoulders are slumped like this. You need to stick the rear end out, and the upper back has to be straight and not slumped over this way. Make sure that your upper back is straight. Your rear end stuck out, your knees are flexed, and you're on the balls of your feet, not the heels and not the front of your foot, the toes, but on the balls of your feet right there. And you also want to continue with your neck. You don't want your neck to be bent over this way like this too much, because that restricts your backswing. What you want is your neck to be an extension of your spine. And keep your chin up like this. Your chin can't be down like this. It must be up like this. Now, how far do we stand away from the ball? That's the question that most people ask. I mean, I don't know how far to stand away from the ball. We see people out there swinging with their arms out here like this. You don't do that. How you do it is very simple. You take the balanced position that I just taught you, and you allow your arms to swing freely and come together. Where they come together like this is where you grip the golf club. You grip the golf club right there. Then you move into the ball like that, and that is your setup position. Just like that. Now let's review this. Let's start from square one. Your stance, shoulder width apart, your toes slightly open. Kick the right knee in just a little bit like this. Knees are flexed. Rear end is stuck out like this. Your back is straight from the rear end up. Your top of the back remains straight, and your chin is up, not down. Then, how far we stand away from the ball? Very simple. Let your arms hang. Put the club in your hands. Move into the ball, and we're ready to hit the shot. Let's talk about aim and alignment. When we talk about aim, we're talking about where we want the ball to start off on. When we talk about alignment, We're talking about how our body is positioned to that aim line. Now this aim line right here is positioned directly at that hole. And this is a parallel line right here, which is parallel to that line. And this line right here is where I align my knees, my hips, and my shoulders, all parallel to that line in relationship to the ball. I set up in here like this and make a swing and hit a shot. Problem is that there's no such thing as a straight shot, or very rarely a straight shot. It's like a putt. A putt has some sort of break to it. And most shots have some sort of curve to them. Left to right, right to left could be your natural draw or fade. But how about the wind, a crosswind? So you're going to have to start to your aim line, not at your target, but away from your target to allow for the bend or the break of the ball in the air. So I have a natural hook in my swing. I have to change my alignment to allow for the start of the ball to go to the right of the target and then curve back to the target. So I take my stance from the parallel on the line to slightly to the right, like this, and I swing to the right of the target, and the ball naturally turns right in toward the hole. Now Jack Nicklaus, who hits a fade, he does the opposite. Instead of him being right on the target, like this, he opens up his body a little bit, like this. He starts the ball left of the target, and he hits a fade into the hole. So the most important thing here is align your body to your starting point, your starting aim line, where you want the ball to start off on, not your eventual target. This is the best way, in my opinion, to align yourself up to hit your best possible shot. Jack Nicklaus does it this way. He picks a spot out in front of the ball, somewhere, anywhere from a foot to, a couple of feet in front of the ball like this. Gets behind the ball. He looks at that spot, and as he's walking up, he keeps looking at the spot, then he sets his club head down and aims his club head first at that spot. Then looks up at the target as he's taking his stance. He looks at the spot, looks at the target. Looks at the spot, looks at the target. And here's Jack, head back. Here's another method for aiming. I call it the goalpost method. Instead of taking an exact point to hit over, I figure out a goalpost out there. When I am looking down at the target, I see a right limit and a left limit. And if I have a slight draw, I'll favor to the center to the right. If the wind's blowing from left to right, center to the left. So I'll have a width to hit the ball into rather than a precise point. Sometimes that makes it easier to hit onto a green or a fairway. There I hit it. The right limit, I'm still on the green. One of the most misunderstood elements of the golf game is ball position. I find that way too many golfers put the ball in the wrong position, almost making it impossible for them to hit the proper shot. There are some golfers like my friend Jack Nicklaus and Johnny Miller who subscribe to the theory that the ball position should be in the same position for every club in the bag. The driver, the 3-wood, the 5-iron, pitching wedge are all just forward of center. Now, I subscribe to the theory, along with Sam Snead, for instance, that the ball should change position from forward for a longer club and the shorter clubs move more toward the middle of your stance. Now with the driver, I position the ball just inside the toe and the left heel, some sort of line right there. The reason is that the bottom of the arc, when I hit this driver, it comes in, The bottom of the arc is right there, and then it just slightly hits it on the upswing, just barely on the upswing. With the 5-iron, I want to hit the ball before it reaches the bottom of its arc. So I position the ball with the 5-iron in this position right here. You want the club head to be hitting down on the ball like this, and then the divot comes after the ball. The low part of your arc should be just ahead of the ball with a 5-iron, a mid-iron club, it doesn't really matter. And if you take it further, the pitching wedge, you still want the ball to be moved just slightly farther back with the pitching wedge because you're a little bit closer, a little bit more upright swing, and you want to catch the ball again on the downswing. Ball comes on the downswing, catches the ball, divot is ahead of the ball and on through. Now let's take a look at this on split screen. On your left is the driver, the middle, the 5-iron, and the right, the pitching wedge. And what you'll see here that the bottom of the arc basically remains the same, but you change the ball position. You want forward for the driver, a little bit more in the middle for the 5-iron, and even a little bit more back of center for the pitching wedge. And that's the way I position the golf ball in my stance. I think it'll work for you. When I was at Harbortown Golf Links in 1994, after a particularly poor practice round, hitting the ball out to right field all the time, I went to the practice tee and I said, you know what, I'm sick and tired of hitting the ball out to right field. Back in those days, I was still swinging the golf club with the reverse C position at impact. Take the club back, drive the legs, and be in this position like this. The problem is the club got stuck behind me and I had to flip it at impact, causing all sorts of problems. I thought about Corey Pavin at that time, and I said, you know, the way Corey Pavin makes his practice swing is he takes the club back, and then he comes right over the top like this in his practice swing. He goes inside and like this. And I said, you know what, I'm tired of swinging the club where it comes in and it gets stuck like this at impact. I want to make that club go left. So how do I do that? Corey Pavin's practice swing came to mind. So I took a 3-iron out and I made a swing with where I felt my right shoulder was like this at impact, and in effect it was higher at impact, but the club went right over here to the left. What happened then was that I started to investigate in my mind why that was happening. So with that, let me change here this iron and go to something that's a little bit more graphic for you. Now, what I was doing prior to making that change was this. I was taking the club back, and watch my shoulder plane right here with this rod over my shoulders. I was taking the club back properly like this, but on the downswing I was driving my legs, and look at where the rod goes, and look how deep this gets like this at impact. What Corey Pavin's swing tried to make me do, and did make me do, was this. It got me to go back on this plane like this, but come through on the same plane like this. Go back like this, and come through on the same plane like that. Many times I teach the shoulder plane rotation this way. Stand up straight, keep your head straight up like this, and then rotate your shoulders so that the club, or if you have a rod like this, stays parallel to the ground on your backswing like this. Now make the same rotation and try to mirror that on your forward swing like that. Now, here's the critical thing. We bend over the ball like this, and our spine angle is very, very critical here. Our spine angle should remain the same in the golf swing, but we still turn our shoulders perpendicular to my spine angle this way, and then back into the ball that way. But my spine angle remains the same on the backswing and then into the impact area. Boom, my shoulders stay on that plane like that, and that keeps your head down. That doesn't allow your head to bob up, but it also makes you turn around the base of your neck, there and there. Now let's try it with a 3-iron. And when I did that back in 1994, I'd never felt so much freedom in my golf swing ever in my life. And I hope it'll help your golf swing as well. One of the things I use when I'm trying to teach keeping the spine angle consistent or keeping it the same angle is a white coat hanger. Very simple. What you do, you bend it up, you make a little hole at the top of it there, stick it in the ground, then position it so that you're looking through the hole at the golf ball. When you make your backswing, that ball should be still in the hole like that. When you're making in the downswing, it should be still in the hole like that. What's that do? It helps promote you turning your shoulders perpendicular to your spine and around and through on the same plane. Sam Snead was a perfect example of keeping his head dead still, turning around the base of his neck or his spine perpendicular to his spine. Now let's try to hit this ball. One of the most frequently asked questions to me is, how do you start your backswing? Well, the one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to start it from a dead stop, meaning you don't want to start up there like this, not move anything, and start just dead stop like this and just move it back. You want to have something in motion. There's lots of different ways to do it, but the two things I suggest you do are these. One, try to feel the weight of the club head, which maintains a light grip pressure. You may just lift the club up and just allow your right wrist to hinge a little bit like this. You can do what Mike Weir does and actually preview your backswing, and he takes it back like this and comes back there and comes back. That's actually a preview of the backswing. Lots of different other ones. You look at Gary Player. Gary Player will kick the right knee in like this, which allows him to start his hip turned back and his shoulder turned back together like this. Jack Nicklaus, he just turns his head to the right like this to clear his right shoulder so he can make a nice, long, full backswing. In my case, what I do, I just get the club up, make a few waggles like this, and then hit it. At this point in Lessons of a Lifetime, let's break down the entire golf swing, starting with the takeaway. A long time ago, I read an article about Arnold Palmer saying that the first 2 feet of the backswing is the most important part of the swing. This is what happens in the backswing. You start the club, left hand, left forearm, left shoulder. The right hand is on for the ride. The left arm, the back of the left hand, take the club back for about the first 2 feet of the backswing like this. Notice that this arm, and the club doesn't move position. It just moves back. That's called swinging the club back. What happens a lot of times is people lever the club back immediately with their hands, meaning that their hands go like this away from the ball. They either go around, up, but what happens, it makes the club very heavy in the golf swing. By doing this the proper way, taking the club back for the first 2 feet without moving much of anything, now the club can go up and set properly with the hands. When you overuse the hands on the backswing, it can set early, it can unleash early. There are a lot of things that can go wrong. So let's review. Start of the takeaway, think of the back, the left hand, the last 3 fingers, the forearm, and the shoulder. They all move the club back in unison to about right there. That is the start of the takeaway. Another key element in the proper takeaway is the hands in, club head out. What you're doing here is this. You're maintaining this angle that the club shaft and your left arm make at address. You maintain that angle going back into your backswing about that far. That's the proper way of doing it. You don't want to break that angle and make that angle get straight like this. A lot of people will lift their hands up and then try to rotate around, or they'll immediately turn off the ball like this. Look, you've lost your angle. You've lost this angle. You want to maintain that angle deep into your backswing like this so that your hands can hinge properly at the top. That's swinging the club head. The proper takeaway is the hands in, the club head out. Now watch what happens in the backswing. It goes there, like this. When it gets up to the top, your wrists break right up, like this. And they're in a very, very perfect set position right here. The club is light, the left thumb is underneath the shaft. What happens when you rotate the club, where you get the club head in and the hands out, the club head starts here, 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 here. Now the club gets laid off, points over here, and it gets heavy up here with the left thumb on the side of the shaft like that, causing all kinds of problems in your golf swing inconsistency. So let's review. Hands in, club head out. What you're doing here is this. You're maintaining this angle that the club shaft and your left arm make at address. You maintain that angle going back into your backswing about that far. That's the proper way of doing it. Another key ingredient to a proper takeaway is the tempo of your takeaway. You must find your own body rhythm. I have a very fast, or pretty fast, takeaway. I take it away about that fast. Fred Couples, on the other hand, takes it away nice and slow. Now let's see how this works. The key things on the backswing are these. Don't forget, there's a sequence that happens. Your left arm, left hand, and left shoulder start the backswing, as we said before. The movement goes this way. The left arm, left shoulder, it goes this way like this, but watch what happens to the left knee. The left knee starts to collapse into the ball like this, and the right hip starts to turn out of the way backwards like this. The key element here is that it is a sequence, that your shoulders start your hip turn. Your shoulders start first, then your hips are pulled by your shoulders on your backswing. The things we've got to stay away from are the straightening of the right knee in the backswing or the flexing outside the right foot of the right knee. Now watch what happens in a bad backswing. This is the dreaded reverse pivot, where the right knee straightens and your weight goes forward like this. Or the person who wants to get behind the ball, they slide this way and the right knee gets off the ball this way like that. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is continue the sequence on the backswing, which is left arm, left shoulder, club head starts this way, The left knee collapses in toward the ball. The right hip goes back. We get the club up in a proper position like that. That's how we transition into the backswing to the top of it. Another important point in consistency for your backswing is to maintain the angle of your left wrist all the way through to the top of the golf swing. Look, I have a slight break in that angle right there. It's not this way, and it's not this way. It's not cupped, and it's not convex like this. I want to take this angle of that left wrist up to the top of the backswing and keep it the same. It goes back there, it doesn't change. It goes up there like this, it doesn't change. At the top of the swing, it's the same angle, like this. And when it starts down, it still remains the same angle. What happens in a lot of golf swings is that this angle on the backswing changes and it goes this way in the backswing, or it might go even cuppy and goes this way in the backswing. What happens to a lot of players is that that angle does not remain the same in the backswing. A lot of times when you take the club back with your hands too much, look where that angle is right now. It is dead flat. You've lost the cup. You've lost the cup on the backswing. You want to maintain that cup right to there in the backswing so that your hands hinge naturally. The way the club head will hinge the hands and keep that slight cup position right there at the top of the swing. Some people say they want a flat left wrist at the top of the backswing. I say you go to the top of the backswing with the same left wrist position as you started with at address. In continuing the discussion about the takeaway and the backswing, I placed a rod down here to show a reference point where you should be on the backswing. When you take the club away and your left arm reaches horizontal, when my left arm is parallel to the ground, I want the butt of the club to be aiming at that aim line right there. And on the mirror finish, on the follow through, when my right arm is straight, I want that butt of the club to be also aiming right there at the aim line. That means I've made a complete release of the club head on a very concentric arc through the impact area. One of a couple of other ways to explain this is what I call the hitchhiker method. When you swing your club back, think about your thumbs. Your thumb should be pointing just off vertical like this, and actually the club would then be, again, pointing toward that aim line right like that. On the follow through, thumbs do the opposite. It's the mirror image of it, where the thumbs now point left of the vertical like this, and if you had the club in your hand, the butt of the club would actually be on your aim line again. Another way to describe this method is rotation of the forearms. Put your hands vertical like this, rotate your hands so they're horizontal like that. That's where they should be, somewhere in the backswing like this. A lot of people don't get it rotated enough. Some people rotate it too much. On the follow through, they rotate the other way like this. This is for slicers. When you don't rotate enough this way, the club never releases enough where the club face squares up at impact. It never gets to the point where the butt of the club points to your aim line. So you can think about it all three different ways. You can talk about on your backswing, left arm parallel, the club butt is pointed to the aim line, follow through, right arm straight, parallel, the butt is pointed to the aim line. You can talk about your thumbs. As you take it back, your thumbs go up like this. They're not vertical, they're not over here, they're like that. Follow through, they're not vertical, they're over like that. And you can also talk about it with your forearms rotating this way, the impact, and through like this. Remember, slicers, go that way through impact. Well, in review of the backswing, let's take a look at the sequencing of it again. Remember at the beginning when I said you keep the weight in the balls of your feet? Well, one of the things in the backswing is your weight does not leave the balls of your feet. You transition around with your hips like this. You keep the weight centered along the balls of your feet like this in your backswing. It's centered there like this. You don't want your center of gravity to be moving back and forth like this. Number two, I remember one of the great tips I learned as a kid, and that is you want to turn your lower body in a barrel this way and then that way, like this. You don't want to be sliding outside the walls of the barrel this way. You want to be turning in the barrel. Now let's review the whole backswing sequence to make sure that we have it down. We start our waggle, and remember we start with our left hand, left arm, left shoulder. Remember the angle of the shaft and the left arm stays consistent, keeping the club head outside the hands. As our shoulders turn, it also starts to turn our hips. The left knee starts to collapse in toward the ball. And what happens is our right hip is now turning backwards and getting out of the way. My left heel comes off the ground because I like to swing the club up a long way with my left arm. Then we transition up to the top. Right there, we're starting to feel a good tight pull in our back, especially the left side of our back. And what that does is create the torque that you need to create speed on the downswing. Now let's put it to practice and see what happens. In continuing our discussion about the golf swing, let's talk about the transition, defined as the change from the backswing to the downswing. I'm often asked two questions. One, what stops the backswing? And the other is, what starts the downswing? Well, the answer is the same. I mean, it's very simple. This is what happens. We have talked about what happens at the top of the backswing, where the club goes back, your shoulders, the club goes back, and you're starting to feel a real tension in your back, in your left side of your back right here, all the way down to your hip. That's the coiling action that we're talking about. We want that coiling action to create some tension there, and what happens is that before the backswing ends, watch my left heel, it goes down like this. That is called separation. What happens is that my lower body separates the turn from my upper body, which is still going back, and creates a little bit of a separation. My hips are a little bit in front of my shoulders now. That's the power move in golf that I think is essential to hitting the ball your maximum distance. All it takes is from there to here. And that allows me to whip on through the ball like that with my hands and arms. One of the keys to the proper transition is that your left shoulder, when it gets up to the top, does not straighten up this way. But it almost feels as if the left shoulder goes down like this, and then your arms come on through. But what you're doing is keeping your shoulders on the same plane. Remember, there and there. If you look at my left shoulder starts this way. It doesn't start that way. That's one of the killers that I see in a lot of golf swings. On the transition, people stand up or they pull up. So let's review this. Your transition starts top of the swing, starts with the left heel down, left shoulder down, and from there, my good friend Jack Nicklaus said, you can go ahead and release the club with your right hand as hard as you want. Remember, grip pressure here is very important. If you have too tight a grip pressure, you'll go ahead and swing in front of the ball like this and hit it to the right. Got to have nice, relaxed hands and go ahead and throw that club head at the ball. Let's see if it works. Another question I get many times is, what do I look at when I'm hitting the golf ball? Well, it's pretty simple. I look at the point where I'm making contact with this golf ball, which is directly on this side of the golf ball in the center of it. And I'm looking at the ball, I'm squaring the club head up with the center of that back of the ball. That's where I look at. I look at that point and that point only. Now, a couple other points about the impact area. One from Sam Snead again, and the other one from my good friend Byron Nelson. Sam Snead said, start with the club at your starting position this way, take it up to the top, and then come down and stop right there. Try it again. Take it up to the top, come back and stop. My good friend Byron Nelson also had a wonderful tip about the impact position. He said when he was playing his best, his hips and his elbows were very, very close at impact. So when he took the club back and he went like this into the ball, his elbows and hips were close. They weren't out this way, they weren't out this way, but they were close to his body. In fact, he said he wore out the right side of his pants because his right elbow hit the right side of his pants all the time. That keeps the club face in line through the impact area. Now remember this about the impact position. What we try to do is establish a lot of constants in our golf swing so that the bottom of our arc is always forward of the center. What we're trying to do is catch the ball at the beginning of the bottom of the arc. The bottom of the arc is just ahead of the ball. Our goal is to consistently get the bottom of the arc at the same place on the ground every time we swing the golf club. We've talked about the impact position, but now let's talk about the follow through to the finish. Now there isn't any time really to think about this, but there are a couple things that you can do to effectively get in the right position on the follow through. One of the things is a tried and true tip that used to use a handkerchief and now we use a towel. Put that under your left armpit there, and what the whole idea is to hold it there throughout the entire swing. Now, this has been used by Sam Snead, this has been used by Vijay Singh, but it's really one of those things that really helps keep you tied in this way. Keep that close to your chest, that's the main thing. Another good tip comes from my mentor, Stan Thirsk. With beginners in particular, he gets the club in their hands and he makes them do just half swings. Back where the left arm is the parallel, and the right arm is parallel like this. What really helps on the follow through is just to swing it back to parallel like this with your left arm with the club pointing up in the air. Remember, on that aim line there, and just swing it back again with the right arm straight and the club pointing to the aim line. But he makes the pupils go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth like this. It promotes the proper release going through. It keeps this part of the arm close to your chest as you're hitting it, hips and elbows close together at impact. Like Byron Nelson said, and then when I was 6 years old, Dad said, all right, son, when you finish your golf swing, finish with your belt buckle facing the hole this way. One last tip, see if you can raise your right foot off the ground when you're in the follow through position like this. That'll help you get to the final position. You'll be a better golfer because of it. Talked a lot about the golf swing and the mechanics of it, but let's put the glue to the golf swing. What ties it all together? Well, it's rhythm, of course. You have to have a consistent rhythm to be a great golfer. You look at different golfers, they have different rhythms. You look at myself, I have a fast rhythm. Nick Price, Patrick Harrington. Then you look at Ernie Els and Fred Couples. They have very slow rhythms. The best rhythm I probably ever saw was Sam Snead. He had a rhythm that he called oily. He wanted to have his swing nice and oily. Remember, light grip pressure. Light grip pressure was the key. He took that long waggle like that and turned his head. Nice, smooth rhythm. Usually a very good success. I have another idea, and I've learned this from a friend who sent me by letter a long time ago. He said, rhythm can be defined as thinking of the word Edelweiss in your golf swing. Now, Edelweiss sounds kind of goofy, but really, if you think about it, everybody has a certain rhythm to their golf swing. Now, if I'm taking a cut at the golf ball and I swing Edelweiss like that, that's my rhythm. Now, some people's Edelweiss may be faster or slower than my Edelweiss, but I like the term Edelweiss because it gives you a rhythm with which you can swing the golf club consistently. Edelweiss. Could be Edelweiss. It could be Edelweiss. Now sometimes Edelweiss doesn't work. Sometimes you have to go to extreme measures. Those measures have to do with the feel of the golf club. Sometimes we just simply lose the feel of the golf club. A lot of that has to do with grip pressure. We're gripping on too tight or we're walking too fast. One of the great stories that I share about Byron Nelson. Byron said when he got under pressure, he always walked too fast. And he said, Tom, do two things. Walk a little slower and breathe a little deeper. But there's another thing you can do. When the heat's on, the club doesn't feel like there's anything in your hand, do this. Take the club, and instead of taking the club and swinging it with that end of it on, turn it over and swing the club with just the grip end. Now, if you're really in bad shape, you're going to go like that because it's so light that you can't control the impact area. Remember, coming back to the impact, go back, swing it nice and slow like this, 3 or 4 times. Then turn it over. Now the club head feels like it's a ton. Now, light grip pressure, take a couple of practice swings with it. Man, that feels like it's, now I can feel the club head. And the last thing I want to share is how hard should you swing the golf club? The key here is how hard you should swing the golf club and keep it in rhythm. Some players can feel like they can swing it close to 90 to 95% and keep it in rhythm. Other people, they lose their balance just a little bit, so they shouldn't go quite that hard. But as a general rule, I like to say swing about 90 to 95% when you feel like you're in good balance with your driver. And with your other clubs, maybe about 85 and 90%. You can create a good rhythmic type of golf swing if you keep it under control. Put a little bit of a governor on it so you don't always want to try to hit the ball as hard as you can. We have focused on the important fundamentals of the golf swing as I understand them. All the things that must be constant in your swing. Now we move to the variations on the theme, hooks, slices, etc. But before you move to the following lessons, be very sure you understand and can apply the basic fundamentals we've already covered. And now we're going to discuss how to hook the ball. There are a couple of different ways you can do this. When I first started the game of golf, my dad taught me this. He said, son, aim to the right of the target, pull the right foot back, and when you go through the impact area, just rotate your hands a little bit faster, like this. And that made it hook. Now I saw Jack Nicklaus do a clinic one time, and Jack said this, and I thought this was a very good way of teaching how to hook the ball. He said, take the club up and just hood the club this way, but take your grip off the club first before you do that. Then re-grip the club like this. Now you've hooded the golf club. You've made the club look to the left. But now you have to aim to the right of the target to make up for starting the ball too far left. So instead of aiming straight at the target, you aim somewhere to the right of the target, like this. And you swing it with a hooded club face, like this. And this is what happens. The ball hooks. The third way is pretty simple. What you do, you change your grip. Instead of having a standard grip where you have the two knuckles showing your left, turn the left hand over so you see more of the back of the left hand. When you put your right hand on, make sure that's more over to the right. When you swing the golf club, you make sure that you're aiming to the right of the target, because when you come into the ball, you're going to get into this position, the shut position going through. Aim to the right of the target, and the ball hooks. Fail safe. That's the way to hook the ball. Now in some cases you have to hit what's called the extreme hook, and this is a lot of fun. It's pretty simple. What you do, you combine all three methods. First of all, you take the club head and you turn it over. You turn it over closed in this position right here. Then you take your grip, instead of a normal grip, turn the left hand over so you see three knuckles here. The right hand underneath like that. Now you've got the club in a position where if you swing it, it's definitely going to go left. You aim to way out to the right over here like this, and when you go through the impact area, just rotate your hands a little bit faster. That's how you get around trees. Now let's talk about the slice. It's pretty much the opposite of everything I said about the hook. Let's talk about how my dad taught me how to slice it first, 6 years old. He said, son, open up your stance, open up the club face a little bit at address, hold on tightly with the last three fingers of your left hand, take the club on the outside and cut across the ball, pulling across left. And that's what I did here, like that. And it made a slice. Now the second method, the Jack Nicklaus method, is this. Take the club, open the club face, release your grip, open the club face, and then re-grip it. Re-grip it to your natural grip. Now what you're going to do is swing with an open club face. The key here, again, is to aim left to your target and just make a normal swing. And the ball slices. You'll notice that your slice will go shorter than a hook, just like my friend Trevino said you can talk to a slice because it stays up in the air a long time, but you can't talk to the hook. It gets on the ground and goes forever. Now the third method is simply change your grip. This is your normal grip, seeing the two knuckles, right hand like this with the V pointing between the shoulder here. Now take your left hand, take the thumb and put it straight down the shaft, then take your right hand and bring it over the top a little bit more, so now the V is pointing at your chin or just left of your chin, like this. You have a square club face, but you're going to aim, again, left of the target, make a swing. The ball is going to slice. Those three methods will guarantee you going left or right. Well, one of the greatest benefits from learning the secret, as I did, keeping my shoulders more level, coming back into the impact area with my right shoulder a little bit higher, was the ability to hit a low shot. I had now the ability to move the ball back in my stance, and when I did that, I even felt more comfortable getting my right shoulder higher and higher and higher. And when I did that, I got into the position where now, when I came into the ball, I could keep the club head coming back, smack down on the ball like this, on line like this. Now watch. Your eyes are looking back at the ball. When you're coming into the ball, keep your left shoulder low, like that. And you're coming through, and you're going to hit that ball low. Problem I had before was that I tried to move the ball back, but since I drove my legs like this, I'd still leave the ball way out to the right. But since my right shoulder now is higher, and higher yet when I get the club farther back in my stance, like this, now pick the club up, I drop it on the ball like that, I finish low, the ball goes out low. Now talk about a shot that's very useful in windy conditions, say the British Open.
It's a lovely face, isn't it?
Very commercial, you just stay there, a little cheer, that's okay. Wasn't taking on the flag, middle of the green.
Now let's hit the high shot. The critical thing here is to catch the ball at the very bottom of the arc rather at the beginning of the bottom of the arc. So what you must do is play the ball a little bit farther forward. A little bit farther forward than normal. Brace your right knee in and think about two things. Think about a wide backswing and a high follow through like this. That'll get the ball up in the air. Let's review one more time. You hit the ball at the bottom of your arc, not just at the beginning of the bottom of the arc. Place the ball a little bit farther forward in your stance, brace your right knee in, and the key thoughts in this golf swing are to keep your head behind the ball as you hit it, make a wide swing, keep your head behind the ball, and you want to finish with your hands up in the air and high like this. Let's see if it works. Now let's talk about uneven lies. The first lie we're going to talk about is the ball below the feet. A couple different things that I think about when the ball's below my feet. The first thing I think about is standing simply closer to the ball. I want to be a little bit closer to the ball so I don't have to bend over so much to reach the ball down the hill. The second thing I want to do is even though I'm closer to the ball, I still feel like I have to bend over a little bit more from the waist to allow my club to get down to the ball. When I bend over at the waist, what this produces is more of an upright swing, a vertical swing like this. What that will produce is a slice. The ball will slice off this lie. So to counteract that, I do one of two things. Either I take the club from a normal position like that and I hood the club face a little bit like that, or I simply aim to the left. In this case, I'm just going to hood the club face just a little bit. Now watch what I do. Now to review the ball below the feet, stand a little bit closer to the ball. We bend over at the waist. That's the second thing we do. Third thing we do, we hood the club face just a little bit to there to counteract the upright swing and the slice it will produce. And that's the way you hit the ball with the ball below your feet. Continuing on with uneven lies, let's play the ball with the ball above my feet. The key here on this shot is to keep your hands from raising up and your body from straightening up at address. It's easy to stand too straight and get your hands too high. Make sure you still have a little bit of body tilt, spine angle like this, and don't get your hands up too high. You want to keep your hands like this. On the backswing, you want to make sure that you keep the club head outside your hands like this. Now, let's see if I can play this shot properly. Probably the most difficult uneven lie is the downhill lie. Well, this lie is very similar to trying to hit the low shot that we talked about before. The way you hit this shot right here, you've got to lean down the hill and get your body axis more perpendicular to the slope like this. You don't want to lean back into the hill. That's the death warrant for this shot because you'll hit behind it. You want to lean down the hill, the weight's on the inside of your left foot. You want to get the left shoulder low and the right shoulder high. This allows you to take the club steeper on the backswing and swing down the slope. Now let's see if I can do it. And for a review, this is what you do. You lean down the slope with your weight on the inside of your left foot with the left knee banked in like this, kicked in. You widen your stance, the left shoulder is lower, the right shoulder is higher. That makes you perpendicular to this slope right here. You're not leaning back into it, you're perpendicular to it. The key here, again, kick the left knee in, weight on the inside of your left foot, left shoulder lower, and allows you to get the club up in the air. And that's the way you hit it. And here we have the last of our uneven lies, the uphill lie. Now the key here, as in the downhill lie, is to align your body with the slope. You want to be perpendicular to the slope, meaning that this is the way my body is. My left shoulder is higher, my right shoulder is lower. That keeps the club going back along the slope this way, allows me to swing up the slope. Now the two things you've got to think about in the golf swing here is the right knee needs to brace in and not get to the outside of your foot or even to the foot. Keep it braced in like this, and on the downswing, you want to make that right knee just move to the ball just a little bit on the downswing. So here's what you do. You take the club back low to the ground and swing up the slope. Now let's review this. For the uphill lie, make your body perpendicular to the slope. Don't lean into it. Keep the right knee braced in. The left shoulder is higher than normal. Right shoulder is lower so you can swing it back low. And when you hit into the ball, make the right knee go toward the ball a little bit. So you're swinging up the slope like this. That's how you do it. Here I am at the 17th tee at the Old White at the Greenbrier. It's a par 5, and this is a hole where you really want to turn it loose because you can reach the green in 2. So this is what I do to hit the ball farther. Instead of having my left toe in this position, I move my left toe out just slightly like this. That helps me clear my left side a little bit faster. The other thing I have to do is maintain very light grip pressure. The reason you do that is that when you're swinging hard, you want to be able to return the club to square. If you grip on too tightly, what happens is that people will rush down and they'll get the handle ahead of the club head too far, causing a push like this. Or they'll use your shoulders and come across over the top like this. Grip pressure is really important. Keep it light. The last thing I'm thinking about here is complete my shoulder turn. I want to make sure that my shoulders move back as far as I can without me moving off balance or off center. So I really get back, I really feel this stretch right up in here like this. I start down the same speed as I go back there in the separation, and then I just hit it as hard as I can with my right hand, squares up like this, and forward like that. Let's put it into action. Left toe out a little bit more. Light grip pressure. Now I'm thinking full shoulder turn and hit the heck out of it. Now here's a couple of other ideas to hit the ball farther. When I make a swing, I want to make sure that I go back as wide as possible. Get a wide arc right here so that you can create more centrifugal force and club head speed into the ball. The other point is to do what the great Ben Hogan did, and that is to maintain your wrist cock well into your downswing. Remember, you've got to make sure that your grip pressure is light enough that when you get in this position, you can return with your right hand very quickly into the ball. Light grip pressure, I want to make sure that I go back as wide as possible. Up to the top, full shoulder turn. Hold the wrist until you're about right there, and then pour it on with your right hand. One last thought on hitting the ball hard. Don't forget, your kids want to hit the ball as far as they can. Let them. Teach them to hit the ball as hard as they can, but make sure that they are in balance when they do it. I don't care if they fall over forward going through it like that, but make sure that you teach your kids hit the ball hard. That advice helped me when I was a youngster. I'm sure it'll help your kids as well. So this is what I do to hit the ball farther. I move my left toe out. That helps me clear my left side a little bit faster. Maintain very light grip pressure. Go back as wide as possible so that you can create more centrifugal force and club head speed into the ball. Complete my shoulder turn. I want to make sure that my shoulders move back as far as I can without me moving off balance or off center. And then I just hit it as hard as I can with my right hand, squares up like this, and forward like that.